Yo, I think it's been a while. Hey, Magi Cats, how you guys doing? It's me, the King of Landing. It's been a while. Hot. I fucking hate that light bulb. No. We're going to trudge through this. I apologize if it blinks. It is what it is. It does shit. Alright? It just does things like the Joker. So, pull that one out from Smoke Raider. So, that being said, alright. This is Magi chapter 223. Now, before I get started, first of all, I do want to say a few things. Number one, as you can see behind me, before the light vanishes, there are 2 PS4s, and there are 10 volumes of Berserk. Those will be given out to the Patrons on patreon.com, and there will be another stack of volumes, pretty much, and those will be, whatever they want. Whatever the person wants, 10 volumes from whatever series, they get to choose. It's their choice. And I'll talk about that to the anime/manga winners next week. Now, moving on. This is a little bit weird because there was a previous chapter, chapter 222.5, which was this very fascinating story from Elder David's standpoint, and we actually get a glimpse of his powers and who he is as a person. Like, we get to see what he looks like and so on and so forth. However, I did not do a review of this chapter, nor did I do a live reaction. In fact, this week's on Magi, I'm not doing a live reaction at all because I'm on catch-up mode, sort of, kind of, ish, maybe. So, I'm probably going to talk about chapter 222.5 in a separate video, make it like a discussion type video because it was very fascinating. It really was. About his abilities and how he could see the paths of destiny and that kind of stuff, and he could actually foresee the future based on those routes and the outcome of the world and the other world as well, and all that stuff. Like, Jesus Christ. So it was fascinating. It was very fascinating, and I want to talk more into detail about that. But I read it 2 weeks ago. I mean, I think last week, actually. I think it was last week, but either way. And I want to talk about the more in greater detail later on. So I'll do that later on. So for now, we'll just stick with chapter 223 review. And this chapter, we see the mindset of the females in action when it comes to supporting Solomon being his quote-unquote pillars, if you would. Because we have Arba at the end of the chapter. She comes into Sheba's room, and she asks Sheba to marry Solomon. And we find out a few things about Solomon. First of all, number one, Solomon is 22 years old. That's number one. Number two is that because a lot of the magicians live for a longer period of time due to them manipulating how their bodies work and the breakdown of their cells and so on and so forth, a lot of them have very different mindsets when it comes to certain things, and childbirth is one of those things. And what's also fascinating is that we find out that when it comes to Solomon, even though he's a very powerful magician, and he's actually very intelligent as well, because we see him question a lot of the things that should be questioned. And you guys know that I'm all for that. The thing here is this. Solomon, when it comes from a spiritual, I suppose, standpoint, or an emotional standpoint, he's not really ready when it comes to the burdens that are placed upon him. And one of those burdens that he sees is this worship of him by the other species. He was the one who came in there, who freed them, who gave them amnesty, and who is now pushing back Elder David and the Orthodox magicians / churches to the point where they are today. And because of that, he's being revered by the other species as some kind of would-be godlike figure. However, he is afraid that if he is worshipped in such a fashion, that he will turn out to be like his father, Elder David, who was also worshipped in that fashion by the other magicians. Therefore, in order to prevent himself from being like his father, he tries to destroy any signs of worship that are in his favor. Also, what he does is that he actually closes off his heart, in a sense. Because we see Solomon, he's actually very stoic. He doesn't really react to things in an emotional way. And he speaks his mind very clearly and straightforward. But also, what this does, that it prevents him from quote-unquote loving. Where, because he is closing off his heart, because he's trying really hard to not be like his father, he is preventing emotions from actually being a key factor in his decision making. Therefore, and I'm not saying that, to me, honestly, it's not a bad thing. It really isn't. Because being logical, I think, is more important than being emotional. However, the end result here is that he is not allowing himself to actually be loved. He's not allowing himself to experience things like Isnan and Seta, like their brotherly love. Or like like Wahid and Falan and their relationship and their marriage and their dedication to each other, and so on and so forth. So what Arba and Sheba are trying to do here is that they're trying to build up Solomon from both aspects. Because there will always be someone who will always question his actions. If he fucks up, they'll know, like, hey, like, you fucked up bad, and that person's going to be Arba. Arba is going to be like the stern mother, if you would. And then Sheba is going to be more or less the wife. She's going to be the supporter. The person who's going to comfort Solomon, who's going to guide him when he needs help, and so on and so forth. So you have these two opposing forces, this yin and yang, if you would, this light and darkness, that are coming together for a sole purpose, which is to bring strength to the strongest guy on the planet, Solomon, who will later on become the god of the verse. And this, to me, I think is very fascinating. Think about that. Solomon, at some point, is destined to become the god of the verse. That means that his power gets to the point where he's just too damn good. So in that aspect, because you have to start to wonder why. Because when we see Sheba, you have to wonder, okay, so at what point did Sheba actually turn to Ren Gyokuen? At what point did she side with the darkness, and she sided with Eli and brought him down, and so on and so forth? And the answer may lie within this whole becoming God aspect of Solomon, where Solomon became, because and bear with me here, alright, stick with me here, if Elder David is trying to become this would-be God, okay, and we know for a fact that Solomon later on in life becomes this God, that means that Solomon has become like Elder David, which means that in this aspect, Sheba and Arba both fail. Now, again, that's just from a power standpoint. Maybe his mindset is different. Maybe he's actually like an honest, earnest person who accepts his mistakes and his faults, so on and so forth. But if not, then maybe Sheba was so ashamed of that reality where she failed in this aspect, to where in order to actually bring Solomon to reality, because Ren Gyokuen always talks about the arrogance of Solomon. And his arrogance kind of ties into his godlike status within this planet, within the other world. The world of Alibaba and Aladdin. So in order to try and bring Solomon back down from his In order to try and bring Solomon back down to earth, if you would, she may have to rely on the power of Il-Elah and Al-Thaman and so on and so forth. And that's why she may have probably brought him down the first time to absorb the Magi, to absorb the Rook, not the Magis themselves, but to absorb the Rook on the planet. So that's where I'm going right now. So maybe Ren Gilquin still has feelings for Solomon. Maybe Ren Gilquin still loves Solomon. But she's trying to help him in her own weird, twisted way. Who knows? So this whole thing may just be a lover's quarrel. That doesn't sound too good. It really is. No, that does not sound too good at all. And I'm not a fan of that. A lover's quarrel. No. The entire thing? But then again, who knows? We'll see. We'll see. So I'm going to go because this thing's pissing me off to high hell. So, the chapter rating overall for this chapter of Magi, I did like it. I did like the character development between Arba and Sheba and how they're, really growing to be not just sisters in arms, but also to be true family members, how they're supporting each other, their love for each other, and also for Solomon as well. And realizing that you have to support Solomon on both ends, on both sides, because if you support him from one side, he'll become unstable, and he'll shift in a certain direction, more so than another direction. But if you have support on both ends, his path will always be straight without faltering one way or another way. Very nice. And when it comes to his relationship with Elder David, you can clearly see that he also has a father complex. That's very obvious. He has a daddy complex, okay? So daddy issues have also led him to be the way he is today. So clearly, even though he's very powerful, even though he can control the ley lines and manipulate the foundation, the fabric of their world, the thing here is that he is still far from perfect. That's very true. So I'm done. I'm done. Chaptering overall, I thought that it was actually a great chapter. My personal opinion. So I'm gonna give it. Whoa, I'm tired as fuck. So I'm gonna give this chapter rating a great, and I will see you guys later. We are back on board with the Magi, and I will do a discussion type video later on in the week or next week about the chapter 222.5. King Lightning. Peace. Have a nice day.